Welcome everyone to GTACC's In This Together series. Oh, Amber, some alert just went off. I'll let everybody listen to that first, read it, then we'll begin. So welcome everyone to the In This Together series. It was originally called the Emergency Response series, but I thought In This Together would be a lot more positive. And today we have the privilege of learning from a psychotherapist who's here really to share with us. Oops. And again, like I said last week, we will have some little hiccups. Okay, Jamie, what we're going to do is while I get this set up is I'm going to introduce you. And if we can speak without the deck in front of us,
sure. Yeah,
that would be amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, in the current state, and this is all live, this is a hiccup, and we go through this together. It's a major hiccup, but it's okay. You know, with the challenges that are going on today, there's so much stress happening, changes in the workplace, lifestyle, heightened anxieties with the children and elders everywhere. And each of you has more demands, so many competing demands on your time. And I know a lot of you are working 24/7 to support everyone. So we thought we'd bring in this amazing person. She's a psychotherapist, Jamie Sable, and she's going to share with us. She's an organizational industrial consultant, decades of experience providing counseling and consulting in healthcare, working in various areas, including stress, anxiety, depression, conflict resolution, different disorders, and she holds a master's degree in counseling and organizational industrial psychology, and she's been working in the field of mental health since 2002. And what's really cool, another point I just want to mention, she's a registered member of the College of Registered Psychotherapists of Ontario, a fellow of Massey College, and a published author in the Individual Journal of Psychology. So while I get all the deck set up for screen for everyone to see, I'm going to hand it over to Jamie, and she's going to start sharing, you know, what is stress, and really how do we start to begin to recognize it, manage it, and then become more resilient in the process. And while she's speaking, I'm going to go manage this stress and get this work.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much, Sangeeta. Does that mean I get the full hour?
You got it. It's yours.
Done. Perfect. See, it all works out. You yell plot twist and we move on. So thank you for having me. I appreciate the time, and I'm really here to offer all the tools and resources that I have. Within each of these tools that I'm going to talk to you about today, I could talk about them for about an hour. So today is really going to be sort of a high level overview of the different tools and techniques that you can really put into play, not just with yourself, but with your agents as well. So the sort of lens that we're coming from today is really putting on that oxygen mask on yourself first, and then being able to put it on your agent as well. If you can't put it on yourself first, you're not going to be able to take care of your agent. So as we walk through the deck, I'm going to go through some different techniques with respect to how to manage your own stress and anxiety right now. And then all of these tools can be applied that you can share with your agent as well. And then near the end of the session, I'm going to speak specifically to what are the different tools and techniques that you can use for your agents. So why don't we jump right in? Before we go to tools, the way to start really is by understanding what stress is, so that you can identify it and catch it much sooner at an earlier rate before it becomes overwhelming. So we're going to look at, what does stress look like? How does that show up for you? How does that show up in your body? How does that show up in your performance? What are the effects of stress on your relationship? Because people are certainly cooped up right now, and tensions are growing higher and increasing conflict. And so we're going to talk about the effects of stress, and then we're going to dive right into the tools. Okay, so let's jump right in. So let's start with how you would define stress. So we define stress as a state of mental or emotional strain or tension resulting from adverse or very demanding circumstances. So I think it's fair to say that we are all experiencing some degree of stress right now, okay? So then we want to move into and talk a little bit about what does it look like? Because a lot of the times people come in to see me and the stress is showing up in their bodies in ways that they don't identify, that people aren't necessarily aware of that may be stress. So I want to walk through with you the different types of symptoms. So, and maybe, you know, if you've got some notes beside you or just your notes section on your computer, if something sort of resonates with you, jot it down. Because again, the more that you're aware of these signs and symptoms that are happening, the sooner you can catch it and then put in the proper strategy. So the first symptom is anger. So this could be short-fused, short-temper, hostile, or impatient. The next one is headache. Then we have anxiety, which we're going to talk about. We're going to expand a little bit more on in the next slide. So let's look at stomach issues. This could show up as heartburn, irritable bowel syndrome. It could be overeating. I can tell you all right now, there is an ice cream cake for my daughter's birthday on Monday, and she's turning 2. And let's just hope I make it until Monday. Then there is also, aside from the overeating, there is a lack of appetite as well. A lot of people are talking to me about fatigue, skin irritations, muscle tension with neck or back pain. I know that's going along on with a lot of people right now. There's apathy, you know, in terms of a lack of motivation. There is trouble concentrating, so difficulty completing tasks or making mistakes. A lot of clients are coming to me and talking about difficulty sleeping, whether it's difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep. This is also showing up as getting sick, right? Sick days. It could be hair loss. We talked about weight gain. It could be present itself in the form of cold or sweaty hands or feet. Some people experience hearing ringing in their ears or a popping sound or buzzing sounds. It could be grinding teeth. It could be depression, and it could also show up as chest pain or heart palpitations, right? So we really want to be aware of these across the board so that, again, as soon as they show up, we don't wait when it's sort of too long, okay? So then I want to talk about specifically anxiety. So anxiety, if you can imagine a bucket of stress, and our bucket is just full of stress. Now what you're going to do is, now you're going to add in this pandemic. So now you have basically an overflow. This is where stress turns into anxiety. It's essentially an experience of feeling completely overwhelmed and out of control. And so how does this show up? To a certain degree, it's exacerbated symptoms of all the things that I just mentioned before, but it is a desire to sort of control people and events, right? We talked about sleep, agitated or angry. So all of these symptoms, right? But really feeling worried and stressed and over planning or trying to over control things when really we're feeling so deeply out of control. So again, if you feel like any of these are resonating within you, jot them down, because we really want to make sure that this is specific to what's happening with you and build that awareness. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the effects of stress. What does it look like? How is it going to show up if this continues and we don't address it? So from the physiological perspective, it's going to show up as susceptibility to infection, elevated cholesterol levels, increase of physical injuries, high blood pressure, insomnia. From the psychological perspective, it's going to show up in terms of anxiety, panic attacks, self-medication with respect to alcohol, drugs. It could be food, it could be gambling, depression, loss of self-esteem, and control. And I'm sure you are seeing the spectrum of these, in your agents.
Hi, Mike, Jamie, is anyone on the line?
Hi, Singate, it's Mike. I'm still here. Unfortunately, can't hear Jamie's feed right now.
Okay, so as you can tell, I think with so much usage, there are technological challenges, and I apologize to everyone. I did something in the beginning, not sure, but I think this is technology. Jamie has a ton of great information to share. What I would recommend doing, what I would recommend, so I know we're gonna go through Mike nonstop to support their teams. So I know last week Neil had mentioned that, loosen some policies, and I think we have to be more compassionate when looking at overall work performance, because there are so many new stressors on everyone working from home, and so many people have never done it before, as well as the people that are on site. Is Jamie? Okay, Jamie's not able to unmute. Mike, can you unmute Jamie on your end?
There we go. Hello?
There we go. Okay.
Oh, no problem.
Okay.
This
We're
is
back
live
in
as
business.
live can be. No problem, Jeannie. Okay.
All right.
It's all good.
Sorry,
It's all
folks.
good.
The question is, where did I get cut off? Because I feel like I kept talking.
You know what? Let's move on to.
Oh, I just lost you again.
Jamie, thank you. Just queuing up the slide right now.
Okay.
There we go. Okay.
Hi, Jamie. Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. So you were on the effects of stress.
Okay. All right. Did you hear any of this, or should I just start from the beginning
Oh,
here?
you were near the bottom. You were talking about smoking and gambling.
Okay. So those are self-medication responses. So, this, with respect to psychological, we're talking about depression, anxiety, panic attacks, and self-medication, right?
Right.
In addition, it's going to show up as loss of self-esteem and self-control. And then the last area is work performance, right? And I understand that some people are working remotely and some people are actually working still in the office. So here's what stress is going to look like. It's going to be absenteeism, it's going to be sick days, it's going to be presenteeism, reduced morale, coworker conflict, and then accidents on the job. So these are the things we want to look out for, again, within ourselves and within our agents, so that we can catch it much sooner and then be able to tap into the tools and provide ourselves as well as our agents the resources that they need to work through this more effectively.
Okay, great.
So now we know what it looks like. We know how it's going to show up. We know what the effects are. Now, what do we do, right? That's sort of the important question here. So we're going to talk about, so there's 10 major techniques that I want to talk about. We're going to talk about the importance of physical activity. We're going to talk about meditation, counseling, and CBT is cognitive behavioral therapy. We're going to look at hobbies, social connection, gratitude, journaling, the importance of healthy eating, sleep, and spirituality. So let's jump right into physical activity. So because of this particular situation, stress is very high, right? And the reason why physical activity is so important right now is that it actually reduces your cortisol levels, which is that stress hormone. So your body is literally releasing stress. In addition, it increases serotonin levels, which is the neurotransmitter that contributes to feelings of happiness and well-being. It stimulates endorphins. You always hear that endorphin rush, which elicits feelings of happiness and relaxation. It also stimulates dopamine, which is the neurotransmitter enhancing motivation, focus, and attention. It improves the quality of sleep, which we know is an issue right now. And it increases self-confidence, which again, because of the current situation that we're in, the self-confidence is compromised for a lot of people, and that feeling of sort of a lack of control and uncertainty and insecurity. And a physical activity can help us regain that sense of confidence. So because of the situation we're in right now, all types of physical activities are not accessible to us, right? So I've made a list here of the different types of physical activities that we can do that are safe. Now, I would also, because we are really all trying to figure this out together, and it's an ongoing process, if any of you have some different ideas that you've come across that you're doing that you think would be helpful to share with the group, please send Mike through a message through the chat. And then what we're going to do is we're going to compile all these responses together and hand them out to everybody so that we can all have information. Okay. So let's move on to meditation. So I'm sure a lot of you know about meditation, but I just want to sort of tap into for a moment just the importance as we did with physical activity. So meditation increases activity in the brain that's correlated with anxiety, depression, and increased pain tolerance. It enhances our ability for empathy. It reduces feelings of mood, negative mood, tension, sadness, and anger. It decreases blood pressure, it increases our immune system, and it focuses attention on the present and eliminates destructive thoughts causing stress. In this particular environment, everyone is so stressed, and anxiety is really the place of sort of living and worrying about what's going to happen in the future, as opposed to meditation, which is really the practice of being in the present and here, being in the moment of here and now. And if we can create wider gaps of living in the here and now, we can reduce the stress and anxiety. Okay, so I want to be able to give you some different types of meditation. There is no one size fits all here. So I'm going to give you some different ones that you can try. Some are going to work for you and some are not going to work for you. So let's just go through each one. And then again, you can see and maybe jot down which one you feel that you would connect with. So the guided meditation is the first one. So there's a number of guided meditations such as Calm or Headspace, but this is really about guided imagery, visualization, and creating sort of a safe place that you can go to if you're feeling stressed or sort of overwhelmed. But Calm and Headspace are two great ones that I love. And again, if any of you have others that you really enjoy, that you really find helpful, again, please share that with everybody as well. The second one is mantra meditation. So this is really about the process of silently repeating a calming word, thought, or phrase to prevent distracting thoughts. So one thing you could do that has been really effective is as you inhale, you're going to say the words in your mind, see in, and as you exhale, you're going to say the words in your mind, see out. See in, see out. And that really focuses your attention on the present moment and being in the here and now, which again quiets down the thoughts of the future and the thoughts of the past. In lieu of seeing see in, see out, you can also use the auditory meditation. So hear in, hear out, again, as you're on the inhale and on the exhale. Other people like to use the words, I'm okay. As they inhale, they say I'm. On the exhale, they say okay. And the last one, which I think a lot of people are feeling right now, is a lack of safety. And so as they're doing the meditative breathing, they're inhaling on the word I'm and exhaling on the word safe. So that's sort of the mantra meditation. And again, you play with it and see really, there may be another word or phrase that feels more connected to you. So play with that and find really what's that match for you. The third type of meditation is called mindfulness meditation. So this one is really focusing on your breathing. So as you're inhaling, you're going to say the words breathe in. And as you're exhaling, you're going to say the words breathe out. And this provides an increased awareness and acceptance of living in the present moment as the others did. And it broadens your conscious awareness by focusing on what you experience during the meditation, such as the flow of your breath, your thoughts, and your emotions. The next type of strategy is yoga, right, which is a series of postures and controlled breathing exercises to promote a more relaxed body and calm mind. The fifth one is, it's called a body scan. You can access this through a variety of different guided meditations as well, but this is really getting in touch with your body, because this is where, as we saw earlier in the presentation, this is how it's going to show up first. So the more connected that you are to your body, you're going to catch it sooner and be able to bring yourself back down to a calm, neutral state. Right? So as you are focusing, as you are breathing, you're going to focus on your body sensations such as pain, tension, warmth, or relaxation, right? And then you're going to combine the scan with breathing exercises and imagine breathing heat or relaxation into and out of different parts of your body where you're feeling stress. The next one is walking meditation. So some people have a difficult time sort of sitting still, especially if you are sort of cooped up and isolated all day. This is a great opportunity to get out and get some fresh air, get your body moving, and focus here on your legs and your feet. So you're going to repeat the action words such as lifting, moving, and placing your foot, or you can just do left, right, left, right, and that's what you're going to say in your head. As you place your left foot down, you're going to say left. As you place your right foot down, you're going to say right, and you're going to do that for the duration of the meditation. And expect that it's not going to be perfect. Your mind is going to drift. That's okay. Start small. Start with 5 minutes and slowly build your way up a little bit, right? But even if you start with 5 minutes, that's great. But expect that you are going to drift, and that's okay. And as long as you just sort of notice it and come back, that's great. And then the last one is reading and reflecting. So this is looking at literature, poems, or sacred texts. There's a couple books that I love, which is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. That one I find is really a great one for meditation. And there's another one by the Dalai Lama called Ancient Wisdom, Modern World. I'm going to put these in the handout as well, which you're all going to get. So you're going to get all this information. So you don't need to memorize anything or even listen if you don't want to. Okay, so then we have counseling. So why is this so important? So this one is, if people are really feeling overwhelmed and they really need someone to talk to. So counseling is really about, it's getting a new perspective. It's hearing your thoughts and emotions aloud, which allows you to see them from a new perspective. In addition to your own insights, the therapist can also offer a new perspective on the issue as well. The second piece around counseling is it's a release. It's letting out your thoughts and feelings in the form of release that allows you to let go of that pain and move forward. It's a structured time just for you, which right now people are so filled between work and family stuff that we need some time out for ourselves. So counseling is, as more now than ever, is really essential for people. So not just from the perspective of how do you manage your own stress, but I think this is the place that you can most support your agents as well, is making sure that they have access to counseling services and the benefits to get individual support that they need. Okay. Now, there's one particular tool that you can do on your own. And again, I'm going to put this in the handout for you. This is called the STEER method. And this is really based on the principle of cognitive behavioral therapy. So the idea here is that it's not the situation itself that creates the stress and anxiety. It's the perceptions that we have towards the event that creates the stress and anxiety. So if we can slow down our thinking and again catch ourselves earlier in the process, we can check in and challenge those negative thoughts that we're having and replace those negative thoughts with more rational based statements. So this is a math that I use, the STEER method. And again, if you have specific questions or situations, I'm happy to work through this with you. And again, I'm going to be, as Sangeeta said, on the call after, but feel free, of course, to reach out to me and happy to go through specific situations with you. I'm just conscious of time here. Okay, so the next one is hobbies. So here's why hobbies are important, especially for now. In this particular time, we are all spending so much time on work, right? And the hobby can take your mind off stress. It can also promote social relationships and connections. It allows us to regain a sense of control, right? And in this particular situation with the virus right now, there is so much uncertainty and there's so many elements that are out of control, which can lead to sort of a sense of being overwhelmed. The hobby is yours. You have the power to choose how you spend your time, when you want to engage in your hobby, and how much time you want to spend on it, okay? It also provides a sense of accomplishment, right? Having specific, measurable, attainable goals and gives us something to strive towards, right? Which stimulates the pleasure hormone, dopamine, that we talked about earlier. It allows you to find fulfillment and meaning, right? When we're kind of looking for that right now. So I've got a list of different hobbies. Again, because of the situation and we're sort of isolated, we are limited to the hobbies that we can do, but it could be singing, it could be dancing in your living room, photography, painting, pottery, drawing, guitar, piano, hiking, right? A lot of the creative outlets are very effective for stress reduction, right? So, Mike, was this a good time to get people to maybe share some of the hobbies that they're doing as well?
Well, we can certainly ask that. So what I'll ask actually for everyone listening right now is just to share some of the hobbies that you have. And you can do it by a couple of ways. You can either type it into either the chat box or question box, so whichever one you want to in terms of what your hobbies are. Or if you want to just raise your hand, click on the little raise hand icon there just on the screen, and I can actually unmute you if you want to actually say it out loud over your computer headset or on the phone as well. All right, so I'll give you a moment right now just to think about that. What are some of the hobbies that you can use to help de-stress? I'll give you a few moments for that one. I've got one actually from Angela C, who says, teaching my dog new tricks. So we're all working from home right now. So it's a great chance to teach your dog new tricks. I like that. Thanks, awesome. Angela. Yeah. Cooking as well. So again, a wonderful thing is cooking. So very therapeutic. Actually, Veronique, I don't know if I'm saying that properly, plays the guitar and works out. So again, music, of course, and physical exercise are great. Also, Asha mentions hiking in the woods and playing with my furry kitties. That's really good. And Leah mentions jigsaw puzzles. So again, a great way to get lost trying to do those things. Well, I swear I can never finish those 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzles, but thankfully Leah can. Humberto mentions as well watching a new Netflix TV show with the family. So that's always good to have some fun family time as well. Some great answers there. Okay, good, perfect. All right.
Amazing.
And actually, I've got one person. Sorry, I've got one other person raising their hand as well. So ask Nina, actually, if you want to just say out loud what it is that you tend to do. If you want to unmute yourself, Nina, and just mention what your hobby is.
I don't really have a hobby, but I just recently started taking baking. And the unfortunate part is now everybody's getting into baking and there's nothing left on the shelves in the grocery store. So there you go. I think everybody's doing the same thing. So, yeah.
Well, it is. You can't find flour or sugar anywhere, or eggs. Eggs are out now as well.
Yeah, it's really tough. But anyways, it's a lot of fun, and I'm just kind of cleaning out my pantry and thinking, I think I can try to make this recipe. But I'm not a baker by any means, but I think I'm kind of enjoying it. So yeah, so baking is it.
Well, that's good. Anything that helps you de-stress and focus. That's good. Okay, yeah. Thanks, Nina.
Okay.
That's great. That's great. So maybe we can compile all these together. Those are some great responses. And then that way we can give them in the handout as well, because those are all great ideas. Okay. All right. So let's move on to social connection. So this one, obviously very important. We're all sort of feeling the sense of disconnection right now, right? And the very basis of mental health is really feeling disconnected. So we want to make sure that we are still connecting with other people. And face-to-face is great and is nice, but we do have other platforms. So so I'm going to, again, give out a few different ideas, and maybe, again, we can share some different ideas that you guys are doing. But here's what I've got so far. So online education course, right? As Nita mentioned, cooking. You can do a cooking class. Get involved in a club or the other organization. volunteer for a cause you believe in. I think this is the time now where we really need to, you know, help others and focus on other people. Join an online book club. You know, you can do walking with a friend, obviously within a safe distance. The other day I went for a walk with my baby and her sister and her baby sort of on opposite sides of the street, but even that felt sort of like a mood boost. Plan an online social gathering, a music party. There's a lot of music in our house, and we just get different people to play instruments, and we all come together. Get online and have coffee with a friend. Same thing with brunch, lunch, dinner, right? And just FaceTime with somebody. Remember to keep checking on people, check in with your friends, with your family. And again, send all your ideas to Mike in the chat.
Okay, great, Jamie. And we'll hear what answers come in. And also you can raise your hand as well if you want to unmute your audio to share as well. Okay, good. All right, just waiting for some answers to come in. And Jamie, if you want to repeat the question as well again, that'd be great too, just to help encourage people to respond.
Of course. So we're really looking for what ways or what platforms are you finding to stay socially connected to your people, whether it's friends or family.
And your teams remotely.
That's right. Yeah.
Good. Excellent. All right. So again, you can just type those in the chat window or the questions window, or also raise your hand as well so I can unmute you if you want to say it out loud. I know a lot of people use Slack, for instance, to go and communicate, you know, as instant messaging as a platform. Obviously, Zoom, GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar, very big ones as well. Okay, good. All right. So from Angela C, we've got, she FaceTimes a lot in terms of doing this, and also Netflix Party, which is a great app you can actually watch in your own separate living rooms the same Netflix TV show or movie and have it time out. So you're actually able to share like that. So good, excellent. Another comment as well is that my friends and I have a virtual drink together on Zoom every few days. So great as well to go and do. Okay, Humberto shares as well the Slack and Zoom, as I mentioned. Also, they also have their own cloud PBX solution as well. So that's great, great there with New Box and Star Telecom. So thanks, Humberto. Okay, good. Okay, some great ideas there in terms of being able to share.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's great. Okay, so the next tool is gratitude, right? So when we're talking about gratitude here, we're talking about the value of showing gratefulness. So, and the reason why it's important is because it can open the doors to new relationships. It's shown to improve physical health as well as psychological health. It enhances empathy and reduces aggression. It provides better sleep, which again, we definitely all are suffering from right now, and improves that sense of self-esteem, which again is something that we are struggling with in such a time of uncertainty. So, we're going to go through some different ones as well that we can all sort of practice. But if you are looking for different ideas, there's a whole separate website that I have created called Small Wonders That Change Everything. I'm going to put that in the handout, but there are a ton there just to sort of get you going, right? But it's the little things, right? So it could be spending more time with your kids. Right now, I have more time to work out and take care of myself. As Nita said, baking and cooking, time in the evening to read novels, or the opportunity to connect with friends who I haven't spoken to in a long time. Have some time to write the book that you've been dreaming about writing. The opportunity to explore a new project or side hustle, or take a new course online that you've been interested in. So maybe just take a minute or two and write down 3 things that you are grateful for today. And again, feel free if you want to share those with everybody else. Any ideas popping up?
And there are a few as well in terms of what's coming up there. So I like this one from Angela. See, it's my pup, family, and spouse. Okay, and of course healthy. and being healthy, of course, as well. Another great comment was being grateful for this webinar and Jamie, the information that you're sharing. So great kudos to you as well, with that. So some great comments there. And there are a few more that are being typed in too. Okay, good, excellent. So again, things that people are grateful for, which is important. Okay, good.
Yeah, and we really need that balance. And so if you can do that practice, maybe at the end of every day, 3 things that you're grateful for. And again, it could be as seemingly mundane as like, I'm looking outside my office right now and I can see the buds on the trees starting, to bloom, which is pretty amazing. Or it could be, I'm looking outside and it's completely clear blue sky and it's like 9 degrees today. Like, that's awesome, right? And as you start to look for those things and write down those things, you start to sort of shift the brain and it starts to look for the positive things. Okay, so it is a practice, but see if you can find some time at the end of every day to jot down 3 things that you're grateful for.
And Gina, I've got a few more for you as well to go and share really quickly as well. Tracy actually writes in terms of I'm grateful for my neighbors who are delivering groceries to us and to the team, which is really nice as well as the community comes together. Also, another great one as well in terms of looking at this is from Ashan, grateful for supportive friends and family and being healthy. And also today is a sunny day, of course, in the GTA, a really beautiful day out there. Karen writes in as well, technology to keep in touch and work from home and a home to work from. And a third one is a good job and a great boss as well. So great comments from Karen. And Roberta mentions life itself and health and more family time than we're used to having most of the time as well. So thanks, Umberto, as well for that. And thanks everyone for your comments. Okay.
Amazing. Right, those are great. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for everyone for participating. I think the more that we can share, the better, right? The better tools and arsenal of techniques we're going to have. So the next one is journaling. And here's why this one is important. So it accesses your left brain, which frees up your right brain to create, intuit, and feel. It acts like a garbage dump for your brain, right? So part of it, our stress is, it's just, there's so much in there. So similar to counseling, it's sort of like, here's another dispensary, let's get rid of it. It increases awareness of the subconscious, which brings information into consciousness, which basically removes mental blocks, right? It creates a louder, more rational voice that helps us to focus and organize our experiences, thoughts, and feelings. It enhances physical health as well as emotional recovery as well. So here's what you're going to do for journaling. You're just going to spend 20 minutes a day at the end of the day, jot down your thoughts. Especially this is great for sleep, right? Because that's the time as soon as you get into bed where now you're not doing anything anymore and your brain starts to go. So let's dump it. Let's get it out, right? Jot down your thoughts so that you can start to see your own thinking patterns and what's getting in your way of achieving your goals, right? Whether they're personal or professional. So dump out your thoughts and then try to respond by activating that rational brain by asking yourself, what would the rational part of my brain say to this? And the negative thoughts can dominate, which affects our mood and emotional well-being. But if we can strengthen that rational, compassionate, and patient voice, we can work through our struggles more efficiently and effectively. So you just need that 20 minutes a day. If you don't want to do it at nighttime and you don't have time, then choose the same time if you can every day to set you up for success, right? You can put the journal on your nightstand, and as I said, write as part of your bedtime routine. And make that a part of your daily routine, which I think, we're going to talk a little bit more about the daily routine, but we want to have a structure in our routine and include self-care into this as well. Okay, perfect. So healthy eating, I'm not going to go into specifics of like what type of food to eat, but here's sort of the breakdown of healthy eating. It reduces the risk of cardiovascular disease by 28%. It reduces the risk of cancer and other chronic illnesses. It helps to avoid excess weight gain. It improves mood and enhances self-esteem, right? It boosts energy and decreases stress, right? So here we're really just going to stick to at a high level, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, proteins. Take out the junk food. I'm telling myself that as well as I'm looking forward to my ice cream later, and take out the highly processed foods, right? Just keep it as clean as you possibly can. And if and when you don't, that you give yourself a break, right? That you forgive yourself. You go, you know what? stressful day, it's okay. Tomorrow I'm going to get up, tomorrow's a new day, and I'm going to go for a walk tomorrow, and that's okay, right? So we just want to be a little bit more compassionate to ourselves, okay? Then we have sleep. So I'm going to put this in the handout as well, but there's a book, I don't know if any of you have read, I'm sure you have, it's called Why We Sleep. And it's pretty amazing as to the importance and value of sleep. It affects us in every single aspect of our lives, right? So from physiological health, emotional health, work performance, memory, cognition, everything. Sleep is sort of the root of all evil. So we want to aim to get 8 hours of sleep. There is no sort of catching up. It's not like, you know, you can do 6 hours or 5 hours and then I'm going to catch up on the weekend. There is really no catching up. So you really want to aim for that 8 hours and work through these other techniques, whatever is preventing you from getting that proper 8 hours. Okay. Okay. So with this slide, we're really talking about values. So there's sort of 5 core values that I want to talk about here. The first is compassion, respect, patience, forgiveness, and humility. And this is about a daily practice of, let's say, with the first one, engaging in an act of compassion towards yourself and towards others. So this could be taking a hot bath, dropping off groceries for someone else that we talked about, someone mentioned earlier, downloading a new book that you've been really looking forward to, calling to check in on an agent or a friend, just to say, hey, how you doing? Sending a gift card to an agent from Amazon, you know, if you know that they love to read, sending groceries to an agent so they don't have to go out and get, right? Or you know there's a financial burden there. So these are acts of compassion towards yourself and towards other people. The next one is respect. So again, this is towards yourself and towards other people. This could be listening to another without interrupting, signing up for a course or a workshop or, you know, a webinar like today, setting boundaries for yourself and for your agent as well, right? I know that there's such an overwhelming feeling of having so much work right now. All the more reason why we have to set those boundaries to fit in the physical activity, to fit in the meditation, to fit in the counseling and the sleep. Otherwise, it's sort of like you're not putting the mask on for yourself, right? And you won't be able to take care of other people. So we have to set those boundaries for ourselves and for our agents as well. With respect to patience, again, this is towards yourself and towards others. Take a 20-minute break. If you feel like you're getting overwhelmed, throw on a meditation, go for a walk, remind yourself that we're all in uncharted territory here and we're figuring things out as we go, which will take time. And, you know, the last one being, you know, try a different communication strategy. If it's not working for you, shift gears. Okay, there's a variety of different forms of patience, but these are just sort of a few to give you ideas. With respect to forgiveness, this is towards yourself and towards others. So let's say for missing a workout, for eating something unhealthy, for losing patience with your partner. I know that can be, you know, the partners, I'm seeing a lot of partners right now who are getting, you know, increased tension and conflict. Forgiveness for your partner or agent for losing patience with you, right? And then the last one is humility. So this could be getting up with the kids in the morning so your partner can rest, letting your partner choose the movie, donating your time to charity, or, you know, apologizing, you know, to your agents for something that, you know, you could take responsibility for, right? So, so this is with respect to spirituality. And on this last particular piece, I want to just give you a few more tips and tools of how to specifically support your agents. So some of these you're probably doing these already, but I just want to go over them as well. All right. So again, you can apply all these 10 different techniques to yourself and towards your agents. These are going to be sort of more specifically for your agents. So regular structured check-ins, right? These could take the form of one-on-one calls or a team call. The important feature is that the calls are regular and predictable and that your team's concerns and questions can be heard. We could have a whole separate webinar on just listening techniques and tools, right? But We can talk about that another time. The next point here is provide several different communication technology options, right? We know email alone is insufficient. Remote workers benefit from having a richer technology such as video conferencing that gives participants many of the visual cues that they would have if they were face-to-face. So when quick collaboration is required, mobile-enabled messaging system like Slack, Zoom, or Microsoft Teams are great options. Provide opportunities for remote social interaction, which we talked about, right? The easiest way to establish some basic social interactions is to leave some time at the beginning of the team call just for non-work related items. I know a number of companies are sort of starting out with sort of meet the family, right? Kids, pets. I think we should have been doing this anyway at the beginning before this whole thing started. So I think we got to break down the barriers a little bit and really get to know each other, right? Because we need each other, as is the topic of this webinar. We are in this together. Offer encouragement and emotional support. A lot of the questions I'm getting are around how do I emotionally support my team members, my agents? So if a newly remote employee is clearly struggling but not communicating stress or anxiety, ask them how they're doing. Now that you know what this looks like, you're going to be able to see it in them quicker and more frequently. So once you ask the question, be sure to listen carefully to the response and briefly sort of at a high level state it back to the employee and ensure that you understand correctly. I have an acronym that I like to use, which is LOVE. Listen, which is, paraphrasing, putting in the right ahas at those particular moments. The O is openness, right? Being open to what they're telling you, as opposed to sort of arguing with it or saying, yes, but see it this way. This is whatever their experience is, it's real for them and it should be heard and it should be validated because it is real for them, right? And so that leads us to V, which is validation, right? Again, you want to make them sure that the experience that they're having, the thoughts that they're having, and the feelings that they're having are the right ones. Otherwise, what you're doing is you're just sort of now adding on a secondary issue or struggle, right? And then E is just empathy, right? Being able to put yourself in their shoes, right? And being able to say, yeah, if I was stuck in my bedroom all day, on work calls, I would be stressed too. Like, absolutely, of course. So let the employees' stress or concerns, let them be theirs, and rather than your own, be the focus of this conversation. Provide space for employees to talk about their struggles and grief, because there is so much loss in this particular experience right now, right? So people are experiencing grief and they have to go through that process. So some of the things you could do with respect to, additional emotional support, try to balance the bad thoughts with the good ones. If you feel the worst image taking shape, make yourself or, ask your agent to think about the best image possible. Focusing on the present, name 5 things in the room. There's a computer, a chair, a picture of the dog, an old rug, and a coffee mug. It's really that simple, but it helps people to sort of get out of that anxious state and get back into sort of the here and now, and realizing that in the present moment, you are okay. The next tool is really do something productive, right? Activity is a great distraction. So do an activity that brings you or the agent joy and satisfaction. It could be cleaning something, organizing items for a donation, learning a craft, reading, walking the dog, as we talked about, raking the yard, making a list of people to check in. One thing that I find has been really effective for people is keeping on a schedule. It creates a sense of an increased sense of control, right? Where our experience right now is feeling very much out of control. A schedule can help us feel more in control. So put things on a schedule that are solitary. So reading, writing, crafting, baking, self-care, learning. B, social. We've talked about this before. C, necessary, things like cleaning and laundry. And D, we talked about this as well, which is physical. Right? In addition, don't stay on the news or social media sites for too long. Take breaks, switch to activities, spend more time away from your phone. I only check in really at the end of every day, and that's it. And the second last point I wanted to make is control what is yours to control. Remind yourself of what you're doing to contain the spread. I am staying at home, I'm washing my hands and keeping an appropriate distance. I'm not putting myself or those around me in danger. I am trusting the experts to do their job. Everyone wants this to be controlled and eradicated soon, and I don't have to spend time dwelling on what is not mine to control. And then the last point is stocking up on compassion, right? Everyone will have different levels of fear and grief, and it manifests itself in very different ways. So be patient with your agents. Think about, who someone usually is and not who they seem to be in this particular moment, which you'll be able to do if you're practicing all these different elements that we talked about. You need to take care of yourself so that you can take care of others.
Thank you, Jamie. Wow.
Okay.
Love that one. Stock up on compassion.
Okay. So the summary, we've talked about what the effects look like, right? We've talked about how it shows up. The more that you can build awareness around it, you're going to catch it sooner and then be able to put it into play. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Jamie.
Okay, you're welcome.
And I loved when you said that to stock up on compassion. Love it, instead of toilet paper. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up now. I really want to thank everyone for being patient, as started off with some glitches, and I really appreciate that. So when we put the recording, I'll make sure I put what time to start it at on the video, so that you're not hearing me mumble through trying to figure it out. But Jamie, you really shared beautifully today. Mike, if there's any questions, because I want to be respectful of people who have another call to go on, we're going to wrap up. But like we said, Jamie will stay on for additional questions that come over to you. All right, because we'd love to hear from you and get your questions and input. Definitely want to hear, and we're here to serve you. That's the whole intention. So as we wrap up, I want to give it back to Jamie. She's going to end her thoughts, and then I'll just share information about our upcoming webinar.
Okay, thank you, Sangeeta. So I'm going to be here, as I said, for the next 15 minutes to answer any questions. If you have to go, but you do have a question, you're going to get my contact information. So if you have anything specific, please don't hesitate to reach out. I am here. I'm happy to help in any way that I can. Okay. And that last thought that I just wanted to leave you with is this quote that I found as I was reading this book by Mitch Albom, and it just says, "Hope is critical. It's almost mandatory to soldier through troubled times. Hopelessness can be contagious, but hope can be too, and there's no medicine to match it." So thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. And if I can do this really loud, thank you for working through technological challenges we had today, but very grateful. So our next webinar is next Friday at 2 o'clock, April 3rd, and we're going to hear from some ops leaders. So Lisa Running, she's a VP of Client Services at CI Investments. She's going to share a lot of her story and lessons learned and lessons that they are learning as they go from on-site to fully remote agents. And we're going to learn from Chai. She's the Director of Client Services from Questrade Financial Group. She'll also share, because imagine with the markets going how they are, the volume of calls they're getting. So we're going to hear from both leaders next Friday. The link to register will be sent out in your follow-up email with the recording as well. So is there any questions, Mike, that we should do before we wrap up? And thank you, everyone, so much. We're literally all in this together. So thank you again for your patience with me in the beginning. Applause to you, Jamie. And thank you, Mike, for doing such great moderation. Is there any questions, Mike, at the end? And now we're officially, we are finished, 3 o'clock, out of respect for everyone's time, but we'll stay on the line if required.
And there are actually, Sangeeta. So just a bonus question actually for yourself, Jamie. And this is coming from Neil Y, actually. So Neil, the initial Y is the last name. Can you give examples of over planning for people who are naturally planners And kind of relate to that as well, how can you differentiate whether having high expectations for yourself is healthy or excessive?
So it's actually a great question. So, there's preparedness, and then there's sort of a line where it goes into not such a great place. So the measure is really whether or not it's impacting any aspect of your life. It's impeding your ability to function in any aspect of your life. So if you are over planning to the point where it's affecting your work performance, for example, or if the planning is impacting your relationships at home, that's where it becomes a problem, right? It's really, to what degree is it impacting your ability to function in the different aspects of your life? That's really what you want to sort of look at.
Okay, great. That sounds great, Jamie. Thank you very much. And if anyone else who's still on the line has any other questions, feel free to type those in, or also raise your hand as well, and I can unmute you. You can actually ask that verbally. And actually, Jamie, while we're waiting for that, I had a question actually for you, which is, we've talked a lot about being a leader, obviously being able to go and help yourself with stress, and also being able to help your front line with stress. What else could you do as a contact center director or senior manager to help coach that middle layer? The team leads, the team managers that take care of 10 to 15 frontline agents each. A lot of them are fairly new in their careers. It's their first supervisory role. What advice would you give in terms of being able to help coach them to coach the front line with stress?
So I would offer, sort of similar to what we're doing here, is I would offer them sort of a webinar of how to manage that stress more effectively, and then also create some dialogue around, one of the most important questions that you can ask anyone, whether it's professional or personal, is, what do you need? I think that's probably the most important question that you can ask, because people will tell you, right? What do you need from me? But I think with those, that sort of middle line is giving them the tools and the skills that they need to manage their own stress more effectively, and also giving them, aside from asking what they need, they could be support from their leaders, right, and their directors, and it could be individual counseling support. So at this particular time, I would make sure that every person has access to counseling services.
Okay, that sounds great, Jamie. That's great advice. And related to that, just one last question for you is, I know we've got some folks on the line there from human resource departments. And so a question there is, from an HR standpoint, what can HR do to go and support not just the contact center, but all the employees that are going through a lot of stress right now with the adjustments in the economy and with coronavirus? So what can HR do to support their teams?
So I think it starts, with a conversation. It starts with sort of individual conversations and getting feedback from their individual team members with respect to, what it is that they need, because people are going to give you really important information. So I think it really starts with, we talk about, assessment being that first piece before you come up with a solution. I think so often we go right into solution mode and we make an assumption as to what people need, and it falls flat because we're not really getting the proper information that we need. So, I use this approach at the individual level when I work with individuals, when I work with couples, or when I work within an organization as well. I always start first with an assessment, asking the questions, because those questions are going to determine basically the solution that you're going to offer. And you want to make sure that that solution is going to be specific and valuable to your employees, right? Because what happens a lot of the time is we'll take research and a company will say, okay, I'm going to do, weekly town hall meetings. But that's really, not what employees are looking for. They're looking for more additional support, or they're looking for more flexible work time, or, whatever it is. But you need to get that information first. And so I would say that you really need to start with asking the questions and asking open-ended questions as well.
Okay, good. No, it's good advice, Jamie. I appreciate that. And so that's all the questions that we have for you right now. But thank you very much for just sharing those ideas and also staying a bit late for us to be able to go and answer those questions. So thank you very much. And Sangeeta, over to you to wrap up today's webinar.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, we are wrapped up, and I thank you again, Jamie, for sharing so many great insights and really putting the application to where we are at today and for our industry. So thank you, and we'll connect. We'll get all the handouts. I know we're going to work on that and get it out to the attendees and
Okay.
get the recording. So we are good to go for next week. But until then, everyone, stay safe, and we'll connect again online. Bye-bye.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.